Welcome to Buddy Read Adventures. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Stacy.
Glad that you are joining us here today for our next adventure, which is Glow of the Everflame. So, book two in the Kindred's Curse Saga by Penn Cole. So, don't forget to like and follow our channel here for more adventures as we continue on.
And just a spoiler warning for all of book one, Spark of the Everflame, and of course, book two, Glow of the Everflame, and all of the bonus chapters. And please don't comment any spoilers for Heat. We don't want to ruin the fun for anyone else. And also, just as a little bit of a caveat, Danielle and I don't intend to use curse words or adult language, but it may come out. But the books do discuss adult themes, so just be mindful.
So, the things that we'll really be covering today, of course, our initial thoughts, our favorite moments from Glow, favorite lines, and some burning questions that we have as we get ready to start with book three, Heat of the Everflame. But first, we have a very special announcement. We are so incredibly excited to announce that we will be at Mountains and Magic Events Everflame Ball August 30th here in Castle Rock, Colorado. We are so incredibly excited. This is the second Mountains and Magic event that I will have been to. I went to their Swords and Shadows Masquerade back in November, and it was absolutely incredible. So I am so excited for this one. Penn Cole will be in attendance. Check out their website if you're interested in joining us there. Right now, there are still some tickets available.
That's true. There are a couple. This will be my first event of theirs, so I'm thrilled. And it will be my first event that's like a themed, like a very specific theme event. Like I've gone to bookish events before or like cons that are like more like broad and panels, and that is also fun and exciting. But to like have a very specific themed event related to this book was just like once it was announced, you and I were like, okay, how do we make this happen?
I know. I had just landed in Disney World and I found out the day before you and I was like, "Stacy, I think you need to clear this weekend on your calendar."
Just be mindful that something is announced very soon.
Yes, and I remember just being in line waiting for the Tron ride at Magic Kingdom and you were like, "So I bought my ticket," and I squealed. Literally squealed in line at Tron. No, we are so excited for that. That will be this August. Still working on our outfits. We both have at least one part of it so far, and more to come
Yeah,
on
yeah.
later. But super excited. So, all
Oh,
right, let's dive into Glow. Oh my gosh.
this one. This one, I really, really liked this one.
Yes. On when Luther comes to get Diem from the lodge and he
Mhm.
brings her back and there is only one horse. It made me think of you, of course, Stacey, and your one of your favorite tropes, the one bed trope. So does the one horse trope work for you with this trope? Is that the equivalent for you?
You know, given how much that we already know and Penn Cole has confirmed that this is a slow burn, I'm taking whatever I can get. Like, I'm taking whatever I can get. I I'm liking I love in the first book, in Spark with all the like little touches and the accidental like grazing and like all and the like lingering the yearning eyes, all of that. But yeah, with the horse, I was like, yes, yep, please, thank you.
So one horse does work as one bed for you. Good to know. Because I
Yeah.
immediately thought of you as like, oh, and she's getting it early in the book. Yes. But
Mhm.
also, as I was reading this book, I got I know, I don't believe you've read it yet, Stacey, but I got some prison healer vibes, especially the second book of the trilogy series there. That was kind of fun, but obviously it's very different. But I did get a little bit of those vibes, which I was like, yes, because I absolutely love that series. You haven't read that one, right?
Yeah, no, I haven't read that one yet. It's on my list.
Good. Good. Angie made me put that on my list. She showed up here in Colorado when she came to visit in November. I was just like, here, you're going to read these books. And I was like, oh, okay. And that done. Um, but oh my gosh, like I would totally make Sarai my advisor too, like 100%. Like I loved all of the Sarai moments that we were getting in this book. It was just, oh, cherry on top of the cake. I just love Sarai.
Sarai is a gem. Sarai has a lot more personality in this book, of course, because DM obviously like has that relationship, and you really see it. I mean, I'm led to believe, or we're sort of led to believe that maybe this relationship that Sarai has with DM feels like very special, like very unique. And there's some moments where DM's like, I mean, you would do this for whoever was the crown, but I think there is something special, and the way those like interactions are, that Sarai is just like really happy it's DM as the queen, and that, you know, she gets to be with her. So that's very fun. I also liked that in this book we are getting to know DM and the Corbois family, and a peek into how she wants to be a ruler, and I think that that's really special. So I
Yeah.
liked that part too.
Yeah, I thought that was just really, really nice. And personally, I'm just choosing to be like, no, sir, I wouldn't. She might do it, but she might not be happy about it. So there is something different. Like I just choose to believe
Yeah.
that. That's my head canon essentially there. But yeah, as we get to know her a little bit more, like her survival instincts are totally shit. And I think Luther calls her out on that at one point, or maybe Taryn calls her out on that at one point. Somebody does. But they call
Yeah.
her out on her survival instincts being shit. And they kind of are, because she's like, I don't care. I want to do what I want to do and what's right, because she's never had to
Mhm.
think and strategize in that same way before. It's always been about strategizing for survival instincts, or an immediate thing, not these long-term things. So that was just very interesting to me, and I kind of liked that and enjoyed that,
Mm,
because it does create a little bit more suspense and puts you on the edge of your seat a bit more. But I also love
mhm.
that Perth came back and was like her guard, even though he's not a Courbois. Like, oh,
That was a very fun, sweet surprise and reveal, because you like knew, and Penn Cole did such a good job of like planting the seed that like this was a character that's going to come back, and you like like I was curious about like how is that going to be revealed, and the fact that DM saves him in Spark. For those of you who are catching up, he she rescued him from the fire, and so that in turn, you know, he wanted to devote the rest of his life to serving her, and I thought that that was like really special. So yes, excellent call out.
yeah, and I mean, we note kind of from Luther and stuff that Perth is the one guard who actually like stands up and like does what he's supposed to do without hesitation, without instinct. Like he is like right there on the money without Luther having to tell him or remind him, like
Mhm.
Luther does with the other guards. So I just thought that that was like perfect, and I loved that. Um, but also I knew it was Eamon who trampled the boy that Henry saw and kind of witnessed from the first moment that Henry is in the castle, and he and Diem are walking by and they see Luther and Eamon fighting. I was like, oh no, he's not
Mhm.
looking at Luther. It's Eamon. I knew it. I
Yeah,
knew it. Like right
yeah.
from that moment, I was like, I don't think it's Luther.
This terrible person is just even more terrible. So anyway.
Yeah. There was one moment in one of Diem's POV chapters where I was like, oh, maybe he's not so bad. Like maybe like there is, and then nope, nope, nope.
Hmm.
It was a fleeting moment, but there was a moment. So yeah. But oh my gosh, poor Henry. My heart like broke for Henry in this one. Like they both want what's right, but have very different ideas and paths on how they think they should get there. And the voices
Yeah.
in their head and the people kind of vying for input are just so incredibly different. And that idea in chapter 25 that Henry was kind of radicalized. I mean, that's just so true of so many people in our world, that that kind of happens to that idea.
Mhm.
Um, and there's that moment that we almost see like Henry kind of realize that at, kind of after her dad's funeral, where Henry does seem to have that little like hesitation, that little bit of concern. Just broke for Henry in this one. Even though I'm team
It,
Luther, I just broke for
yeah.
Henry.
Yeah, totally, totally Team Luther. But yeah, with Henry and also in part like with DM too, it's like DM's dilemma of this idea of her like constantly in battle with like what is good and who are good people and who are the good ones. And she's spending more and more time with the descended and seeing that they are good people, and there's just these circumstances that have led to this like separation between like the descended and the mortals. And yes, to your point, that very much is like a metaphor to our lives and how we are like split, and there are these sides that people are taking, knowing that there are good intentions and good people, but also like recognizing that regardless, like we all need to listen to each other. So yes, Henry does get to be the like prime character that is really like kind of that piece that gets moved around to help tell that story.
Yeah. I really hope that we get a little bit more insight into him and kind of his thought process and stuff in Heat or Burn.
Also know Penn Cole loves Henry, so
Yes. Well, speaking of like characters that are like, kind of torn, I'm not really sure Umbros is as bad as it kind of seems. I mean, ew,
Mm.
Simon, no, thank you. But I mean, I'm really glad Diem can somehow shield against him being in her mind and influencing her.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah.
And I've got, I'll talk about this a little bit later too with Umbros, but I don't know, just something about it is like you're definitely devious, but maybe you're more morally
Mhm.
gray than like these black villains, right? So I think maybe they
Yeah.
might be a little bit more on the morally gray side, but I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But just kind of like, don't know. But Simon, no, ew, that was disgusting. That creeped me
No.
out.
Nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope.
But oh my gosh, kind of switching gears a little bit. I am not normally into like the good girl praise trope. That's not really my thing. But whoo, Luther doing that and twice, especially the second time when he's trying to get her magic and she finally can actively shield. Yes, Luther, you can good girl anytime for me. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Whew.
I feel like Luther can do a lot of things that I was just like, "Mm, I don't know if that's gonna work for me." Oh, yep, that is absolutely gonna work for me. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I know that's a trope you're a little bit more into. Like, I'm just like, whatever
Yes.
about the one bed trope. Like, my tropes are like very different than yours, and that's okay.
But we
Enemies,
can agree on Luther.
yes. Well, I'm also a big enemies to lovers trope person. And I mean,
Yeah.
that definitely was present in, these first two books. So definitely there.
Mm.
But I totally, totally did not see Luther's reveal at the very end of him being half mortal, half descended coming. Like, it makes so much
Yeah.
sense, but I did not see that coming. That my jaw just dropped to the floor.
Yeah. I was also completely surprised, and I also love, though, that it both of them are half mortal and both of them have, like, the most power,
Yeah.
and there's something to that, right? So, you know.
But like in that moment when they're on the boat, I just had that
Mm,
aha moment in Spark. Like when she and Henry are going across into another realm she's getting her supplies, he's doing his thing. And she felt weird crossing the border, and Henry was like, "What are you talking about?" And then she had a similar experience, but she understood it when she left Lumnos, and it was like, "Oh, her magic, she doesn't have access to it because they only have access to it in their particular realm, and none of
mhm.
the rulers, the kings and queens, have access on this island." So I was like, "Oh," like that was totally like a moment for me that I should have probably realized in Spark.
The
Or at
seed
least
planted and you're like, "Ah."
yeah, yeah. But speaking of that ending, like last time, Stacey, you had called Orally being like the guardian or like the leader of the Guardians. And I was like, I didn't think about that. And in 2 words, you convinced me. And then you immediately talked yourself out of it. I'm like 100% there now after this, especially like Orly's epilogue
Yeah.
chapter. I'm like 100%, especially since Vance was there and everything. I'm like, yep, totally. It's her.
So I was like, "Oh, I had some instincts. That's exciting." But also like Vance, God bless, like, gee, come on. It was interesting. There were a couple of instances in this book where someone was like trying to interrupt someone else and they just didn't do a good enough job interrupting. And I feel like Vance was kind of like, I feel like in Vance's instance, he was like, "Oh, I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen." Whereas like in the challenge, when Teller is trying to interrupt DM, being like, "No, I think Luther is actually like maybe not doing what you think he's doing." I think that was just like younger brother like deferring to like he really did want DM to know. But I think in this situation, Vance was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go through the motions and try to tell you that your daughter is in there and you're about to like blow her up." Like, whoops, like too bad. You did it. But yeah, I do think that's interesting. I was also surprised, same chapter, where um she is like talking with Luther, Aurelius talking with Luther, and he's like, "Oh, you don't actually know who is the ruler. Like you really don't know." And in my head, I was like, "Oh yeah, how would she know?" But I guess before I just assumed her thinking that she knew DM was powerful and like was gonna be the, I don't know, in my head she was like, "Great, I'm like working through all these things so that my daughter can become queen." And then she was like, "No, I have no idea who who the leader is." And I was like, "Well, this is like an interesting turn of events."
Yeah. We definitely got like a lot of answers. Like we understand now the 30 days. That was like the challenging period.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
definitely kind of get why she was there. Like she had to get there in advance before the king died to set all of this up. But she thought it was gonna be Luther. I mean, everyone did. So I think like
Mhm.
it sound if I recall right, she had done something to like protect Luther at least. So then she was like, oh, okay. But so I mean, and then she was like, when she found out it wasn't him, obviously, it was like, "Meh." So we got some answers, but there's still more answers that we need. And like it hasn't been officially confirmed that she's the leader of the Guardians. So we are
Right.
making that assumption, but I think we have a lot of evidence. And also Stacy jumping on the bandwagon of theories with those instincts. Um, so I think we can.
My first one. Or
uh,
or she's definitely like in the top, right? Like even if ultimately she's not like the leader, she's definitely like up there because Vance is like deferring to her direction. So, yeah, but it does very much give us the thing that like we think she's the leader for sure.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if maybe she even became the leader and got involved with the Guardians, or maybe was involved and just like got more insistent on being and doing more because of DM when DM was born. Like, I'm wondering if DM's birth
Yeah.
had something to do with it. So I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know, page 88, like like we talked about this in last book too with Spark. Like you totally know they've got to become mates. Like it's got to happen. But like that page 88 when she first uses her magic in dungeons, after
Mhm.
Lily and Teller leave, um and she feels like everyone's magic in the land in Luminos, but then she's really drawn to Luther's specifically and those eyes staring back at her, which we've kind of had some allusions to in Spark and things like that. But you totally know that that has absolutely got to happen. I even wondered if, like, later in the book, he had done that, like, half mate thing that they kind of mentioned. Like, oh, yeah, one person can mate, but the other person cannot if it's not like requited love. And then you're just like pining. I was like, maybe that's what happened. But then in like the bonus chapter that you only alerted me to last night, like there's 2 additional bonus chapters from Penn Cole's website if you sign up for her newsletter on Glow. So I read those last night. And then I was like reading that, and one's DM's POV and one is Luther's POV. And I was totally like, no, what he's saying, what he's thinking totally is not, he didn't do the half mate thing. So, but you know it's coming. You know it's coming.
Well, I also wasn't sure because when you had talked about you had mentioned the half mate thing outside of this chat, and I was like, oh, I don't remember what that means, but I thought that like you couldn't. I didn't know if you could do it without the other person knowing. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was one of those things where both of the people had to do it. I wasn't sure. It was a little unclear, but we are learning more as we go.
Same. Like I wasn't sure either, but I knew it was possible for it to happen. I just didn't know if like it if both people had to, both parties had to be there. Yeah. So I wasn't sure
Mm,
either, but
mhm.
I don't know. There was something in me going, And then when he like left for a bit, and I was like, well, they can't be away from like their person that long. Very
Yeah.
like Empyrean theories, in terms of that. Although, these are written a little bit earlier than Empyrean. So Penn Cole did not steal that idea. Like when you've been gone from them too long. So it's like, is Luther like
Mhm.
lurking in the shadows? I mean, he does have shadow power. So that was kind of my thought there. All right, well, some of our favorite moments. One of my favorite moments was page 47, where she is really exhausted and she says, I made a mental note to be angry with him again after I slept. I was like, yep, girl after my own heart, prioritize that sleep.
And I just love this idea of DM being like so tired and being like, I know I have to be angry at him. I'll do it tomorrow.
Was just like amazing. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm.
But also, like, not very long later, so like on page 60, she's like, I am a Bellator. I will not be intimidated by a dress.
You tell him.
But then, like, 2 pages later on 62, talking about words can cut as deeply as a blade, you know. So titles or
Mhm.
influence or one's appearance, especially here at court. Some Courbois refuse to even wear weapons because they think it makes them look weak. And Eleanor said that to DM. And I was just like, yeah, like it's, so much more than just like physical weapons like that are actually used as weapons. Like there is so much, I mean, that we use as weapons in our society that don't
Mhm.
injure us in that way. And I mean,
Yeah.
going even beyond just the descended magic as a weapon. Like she's talking about like there's a lot more to it, and I really thought that that was very poignant for Penn Cole to point out to us. And I think that
Mhm.
really sets it up as well for Eleanor. And then we learn in that Penn Cole website bonus chapter that Eleanor is selected to be DM's regent, and it really kind of sets that up. So I think we're even going to get more set up for that, and really kind of see Eleanor own her power, her knowledge, her confidence more as we go into heat and burn.
Yes. I'm really loving Eleanor.
Yeah.
Like,
I love Eleanor.
just
She's great.
really,
Um,
truly. She's great.
and then page 126. Oh my gosh, like that moment when Luther says she'll know when he kisses her, claims her. I was like, when is that going to happen? Please happen. Please happen in this book. I mean, they kissed in the last book at the end, but please, please, please.
I love Luther says a lot of really juicy things in this book. So thank you, Penn Cole, for that. And I do love how he's like, "Oh, make no mistake. Like when I choose this or when we're kissing, you'll know. Like there'll be no question." I was like, "Mhm, yes, please."
I think that clarifies the whole at the end of last book when we were talking, we were like, well, who kissed who? Because she thinks it was him, and then he in his chapter thinks it's
Mhm.
her. And I think that,
Right.
because I think she even at some point says, like, yeah, I know I'm lying to myself. So there is that, like, us as readers, that's an alert for us to go, okay, how reliable is she?
Mhm.
Reminding that we are seeing this through her glasses, her length, her shade. So I think that's an important note for us to kind of realize from that moment here too. So
Yeah.
in addition to being juicy, it was also just a very poignant reminder about perspective that we kind of get. So yeah. But the first time that Diem flies on Sarai, oh my god. that was completely epic, and that How to Train Your Dragon music was just on a loop in my head as I was reading. I was like, "Yes, yes, yes, I need to see this on film. I need to see this," and I don't care if it's the How to Train Your Dragon music. That was what was going on in my head as I was reading that, and I just, like, fist pumped the air, like, so hard.
Mhm. It was really fun. We all got to experience that with DM for sure.
Yes, yes. And then on page 278, when she says, "Who did this to you?" I mean, this is like definitely a trope that I like. It's not like favorite, but
Mhm.
and like coming from her,
Mhm.
like, "Who did this to you?"
Mhm. I knew that was yours. I was like, "Oh, okay, we got a Danielle in there."
Yes, yes. We haven't gotten my favorite trope, but I don't think we will at this point. I think it's a little late for that. It's the "Eff
True.
it" moment trope, but yeah. Maybe that was kind of their kiss in book 1, but it's okay. But, oh my gosh, when Lily at the ball tells DM, like, "Perhaps you can save one dance for my brother," it would mean the world to him. Oh my gosh, like, what that says about Lily and Luther and Lily and Teller and Lily and DM, like, oh, like, that moment, I reread that line, like, 6 times before I moved on.
Just, like, so much between all the siblings in this book that's, like, so sweet. So yeah, anytime we get those, like, little glimpses of them interacting with their sibling or, like, Lily and Teller interacting with DM and Luther, like, it's very special. It's very sweet. Um, I also liked so much. Right before the challenging begins, Luther is like, I have to tell, like, he like pulls her over and they're like facing away. And he's like, I have to tell you something, but you have to promise not to respond. And she's like, what? And he basically reveals that Lily and Teller kissed. And she's like, what? And she like goes to turn around. But it was so cute because I just like feel that like it's a very relatable moment of like older sibling and being like, "Oh, my like younger sibling is having their like maybe not the first kiss, but the first kiss between the two of them and like that's really sweet." And she's like, "Why did you know?" And then later DM approaches Teller and is like, "You kissed Lily." And he's like, "You kissed Luther." Like it's just very funny. So I really
Yeah.
liked that particular exchange. I thought that was really just really fun.
Yeah, and then in, like, the bonus chapter, from Penn Cole's website or one of them, when I can't remember which perspective it's from, I think it's from Luther's bonus chapter, where he notices that Lily and Teller are MIA and there's a noise behind him and she's like, "Nope, don't look. You don't wanna know what's going on." And then later
Yeah.
when, he takes her to bed, she's like, "Wouldn't it be great revenge to, take advantage of his sister?"
Yeah.
It's like,
That
look
was
at
cute. I really liked that a
the
lot.
ship.
I liked that a lot. And it's interesting because in that particular yes, because it was in Luther's chapter because I kept being like, are we getting like a like spicy scene in a bonus chapter? But we got like lead up. We got like lead up. But um and which was great, which is perfect, which we love all of it. And it's very fun. But also interestingly enough, personal story. My parents um their siblings married each other. So like I have a situation in my own life where two siblings like 2 sets of siblings, I should say, married got married in both sides of the family. So I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. This is kind of reminding me of, my family in a certain sense." But anyway,
Oh, that's fun.
so, and speaking of bonus chapter, I also liked in DM's point of view, you have like Lily so excitedly reenacting DM's winning of the challenging. And I was just like, this is so, it was very like theatrical, like it was very like, the sleepover kind of vibe where everyone's like gathered around. It's like, no, you play this part. No, no, you play this part. No, you did the line wrong. Or like, no, it was more like this. And so I just love how like supportive Lily is and just like how enamored she is of DM as queen, and it's just like very sweet. You get to see like the youthfulness that comes from Lily and Teller, even though, earlier in the book, we have that awful moment where we think Lily is going to be betrothed to somebody else, and we are all shocked and angered, but ultimately that doesn't happen. But so yeah, it's very sweet then to know that after all that has come about, you can still have this moment of them being like kids and like playful, and it being like very sweet, like family moment of all of them together. And I was like, this is just like reinforcing for DM that she has like a family. And I thought that that was just like another example being really sweet. So,
Yeah. And I think it's funny because they also like this is the second time in the book where it's like Lily embellishes. Lily's a little overdramatic.
mm,
So like I just thought that that was funny to see her kind of doing that. It also like this moment, like I could see from Akatar, like the inner circle of the Night Court, like they would totally do something
yes,
like
exactly. It
especially
felt very inner
Cassian,
circle.
especially Cassian and Fira. Like, oh my gosh, it might be the two of them and everyone else looking at them like, huh? And maybe Reese getting involved a little bit. Like
Right.
that's totally the vibes I got there. But like that idea of like family and home, like I loved that in Luther's chapter it pointed out like they both smell like home to each other. So like that to me, a little bit of a mate like thing going on. It was like
hmm
maybe like if it's truly like your soulmate, your love, like your person, like the love of your life, like they smell to you whatever home smells like. Cause he's like, she says I smell like the forest. Weird. I don't spend much time there. But she smells like a
Yeah.
flower that he was given. So like, and he even says it smells like home. So like to me, like that was just such a beautiful moment. And I loved that. And it also just planted seeds for more, they will be mates.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Actually, you bring up an excellent point, Danielle. I was going to say, as we transition to our favorite lines, the bottom of 21 into 22 talks about the instance where DM brings that up, um, that he smells like home. She was like, his intoxicating musk hinted at cedar, leather, and moss. He smelled like the forest, my favorite place in the world, the only place I felt truly alive. He smelled like home. It made me hate him even more.
Forgot about that
Because she's fighting it
line.
in the beginning. She is still like wrestling with all of her feelings that she has for Luther. But then at the end, it's a really nice bookend that we get to experience them like talking about smelling like home and having it be like a really like comforting, loving exchange. So that's fun.
Yeah. Another one of my favorite lines was page 108, in the dialogue between Diem and Eleanor. And Diem is like, they want us to feel small, Eleanor. They want us to be quiet,
Mm,
be predictable, be unimportant, behave. They then make us think we deserve it. And this we
mm,
meaning women and the they meaning men. But I think they're just terrified we'll stop listening to them and start listening to each other. And do you know
mm.
why they're so scared of women like us? And there's a little bit of thought processing, and Eleanor is like, why? Because they should be. And then, kind of later on in page 169, DM notes about her and Eleanor being underestimated in this idea, kind of reconnecting and rebringing this back. And I was like, yep, thank you.
Yes. For sure. And earlier when I said that I like really love Eleanor, I also really love this like relationship, this friendship, this sisterhood that DM and Eleanor have. And they have this like beautiful moment of like really solidifying their sisterhood in the book. And I can't remember where that is, probably around this moment. And I like sent you the quote because I was like, sisters, oh yay. And so yeah, so I just love where this is gonna go in as we kind of continue in heat and as we continue in burn, like what that is gonna look like.
Yeah. And then like on page kind of 159 and the line, if a man made you doubt whether his love for you would survive anything, he does not deserve you. And that's Luther kind of talking about Henry and everything there. But ugh, I love that line. So
Another great Luther line. Like
he has all
they
the
just
best
never end. It's so good.
He's kind of like Taryn from Fourth Wing, where it's just like you just know you're gonna get
Mhm.
epic lines. Oh well, I mean Zayden and
You're
Riddick
gonna get epic
too,
lines.
but yeah, you're just gonna we just know we're gonna get epic lines.
Know that he like he truly means them. Like he's not like putting on a facade. He's not like trying to be anything. He just is. He just believes these things so fully. And even though he's a scarred human, like physically and emotionally, he just like has all of this love to give. And now he like has a place to put it. And it's like so beautiful to like watch this evolution happen. So thank you, Penn Cole.
Yeah. Well, then on page 197, like this line is kind of like from Diem's thoughts. His eyes dropped slowly to me. He held me there like a butterfly cupped between his hands, fluttering against his touch and wondering if he would be my doom. And I just swooned, absolutely swooned at that moment. I don't know why. That idea of like the person you love is going to be your undoing and your doom. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's another trope I just love.
You just love. Well, it also alludes to the beginning of the quote, just how much he treasures her, like how much he's like looks at her with this like just seeing her being like this like partially this like thing that he doesn't want to like ruin or break, and she's like wonderful and perfect, and also she has this strength and he knows like her capabilities, and and yes, all of it.
And then like when he's telling her later, like, unleash my queen at the funeral of the late king, and he's just like, unleash my queen. And I was like, yes. I mean, he says it multiple times, then she reminds herself of it. Like, oh, that was just another really perfect line from our man Luther here. So yeah. And then like, on page 353, he says, you are the fate my heart was spared for. As long as it beats, you will never fight alone. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Again, all of it. Keep them coming.
Yeah. And then in like the super bonus chapters from Penn Cole website, when in his POV bonus chapter, he's like going to leave and let her sleep. And she's like, you remember you said I'd never fight. I need you. And she's like, all right, kicking off the boots, take off the weapons, hop
Mhm.
into bed.
It's this idea of like you have a card, you can use it like not one time, of course, but the idea of like you have this card, you can use it whenever you want. And she's like, I'm using it right now. Thank you so much. Like,
Yep. Yep. It's a punch card. You got like 10 uses or something.
yep.
kind of like kind of like that orb thing she has that she can ask 3 questions of, and she's already used 2. So
Mhm.
what is question number 3 going to be? Because we know we're going to use that last question. But she asked about both of her
Mhm.
parents, like bio parents, mom, and then
Yep.
PBD dad or bio dad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then a couple pages later on page 357, that line, we are not reborn in the flames, we're revealed. I was like, yeah, yeah, I like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
We need that. We need that now.
yes.
We need it now. We need it now.
Um,
Whew, okay.
Another one of my favorite quotes was on page 491. If you are suffering, nothing will keep me from coming to your aid. Least of all, something as trivial as death. I was like, you think death's trivial, my friend? Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Um, that
Oh, actually, I just thought of it in this moment. It makes me think of The Princess Bride, where he's like, "Death cannot stop true love. It can only delay it for a little while." And, like, I only just had that realization in this moment where I was like, "Oh, yes."
I totally forgot about that. And now I'm thinking about the ROUSs, Road 7 Usual Sex. I don't think they exist.
Yes.
Because that's just one of my favorite moments. And then bam. Sorry, my
It's a
brain got
good that jump scare moment.
love Princess Bride. Oh my gosh. And then one of my last favorite lines was page 540, so getting towards the end. We do not fear the flames, for the hotter we burn, the higher we fly. And then just a little bit later on the same page, burn my queen, glow so bright the darkness trembles. And that's like as she's preparing for the challenging, like right there at the last moments. But yeah. But can we talk about what Luther did in that challenging? I was like about ready to scream at him. I was like, okay, should I have trusted Aemon more? Like, what is going on here? Like, I feel like there's an alternative motive that I'm gonna be okay with. But I got a little worried, especially when he was like, my crown. I want my crown. I was like, shit. Shit.
I audibly gasped as soon as he said, "I will challenge her." I was like, "Oh." What?
The only thing in that entire like moment until like he breaks into her tent and basically falls on his knees for her that like kept me going, okay, I haven't lost hope. There's something was the
Yeah.
fact that like how he responded to Lily's reaction.
Mm,
And like, you know, he still was showing genuine care and investment. And I think she knew like he's going to basically sacrifice himself for Diem. And she's just like, my brother, no, oh my gosh. So yeah, that was, but then the whole twist of, you know, House Hanover being like, yeah, we got everyone to do this. Like, it really isn't the entire realm of Lumnos doing this to you, even the minor houses that
mm,
never challenge anyone. Like, it was like, dang, okay. I mean, that wasn't really a plot twist, but I definitely did not expect them to be that devious and underhanding. But
mhm.
don't trust them. I think I trust Umbros more than I trust Hanover.
And
All
now we're
right.
at
Burning
burning
question.
questions.
Oh my gosh, burning questions. So, will she use this compass again? So we saw her use it once. Um, will she use this compass again? And how often? Or does it have like a limit, like the orbs she can ask questions to had
Ooh,
three?
that's true. That's true. I don't know. I was hoping that it would like point to Luther, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I kind of was
And maybe
too.
it will. Maybe it will later.
Yeah, at some point.
But it gave her what she needed. So
Yeah.
that was
Well,
fine.
also in that moment, she was still so in denial over Luther, and like she was still so heartbroken over her dad, and everything that had happened. So like I think
Mhm.
in that moment, like what she desired most was that, um, which I think is definitely really important. So we'll have to see. But yeah, at some point, it better point to Luther. Like want to know how does the Umbros Queen play into all of this? Like, what does she know? Like, is she bad or like as I was talking about earlier, is she like this morally gray? Is Umbros this morally gray? Because she is at the one at the start of Spark of the Everflame to tell Diem to stop
Mhm.
taking the favorite powder, to kind of become who she was meant to be, and then knows that Luther does smuggle the half mortal, half descended children into her
Mhm.
realm. Like she knows and she just lets it happen, even though there is no official agreement between her and Luther. And then, so I already mentioned like, ew, Simon, no, no, thank you.
Mm,
But the other one in the physical books, Luther POV that we get during the ball, he's off trying to get the Guardians to go away, and she's allowed the
mm,
Umbrus ambassadors to have their magic back while they're in Lumnos. And he's using that ambassador, and she basically tells him, you know, to go share his feelings with the
mhm.
and so I'm just like, what's going on? Like, and then at the end, like before the coronation just goes completely awry. Thank you, Orly, for that massively big bang of a cliffhanger. The way she smiles and the way everything's kind of going on there. She obviously knows something,
Mm,
really intrigued. And
yeah.
I really hope that Umbros is just more morally gray as opposed to really bad, because right now they're who I'm leaning towards in terms of my attire for the Everflame ball is going dressed as the Umbros realm like vibes and aesthetic. So fingers crossed they're not that bad, but yeah, are they like, yeah, this the idea of good villains? Are they these morally gray is kind of what I'm hoping for.
Even if they're like less than ideal, right? Like sometimes it's fun to dress a little like you're wicked, right? Like so it can still work for the ball.
Yeah, which will be so I know you've got your dress and I have a hairpiece.
I
Um,
do.
like that's it. That's all we
Yeah.
have so far. But like it's gonna be total opposite of you. Like
Which will be cute because then we'll have, like, cute little pictures of us being in, like, like, counterpoints to each other.
Yeah, at least aesthetically. Maybe they won't be in practice, but we need to read 2 more books, one that's not even out yet. So, TBD. But, like, did she even get
That's true.
coronated? I'm thinking she did, but, like, this is not good. Like, I wonder what the
Mhm.
destruction of, like, the stone is gonna do, the relationship with all of the other, rulers, the kings and queens of the other
Mhm.
realms, obviously, except Umbros, although I'm pretty sure Umbros Queen may not, probably didn't know this was coming, right? So I'm just very, but maybe
Yeah.
she did. She seems to know things about future. So
That's true. That's true.
we're gonna have to see. But I'm like, okay, did she really get coronated? Or maybe in Heat, are we gonna have to see them go back and do it? Like, we need the rest of this moment because dang, that was a cliffhanger. Just like boom, done. Okay.
Done.
Yeah. But speaking of, like, in, like, Luther's, like, bonus chapter, when, as we were talking about earlier, she smells like home, and he's like, "It smells like flowers, only one that I've ever smelled before." And the way he's talking about it, it sounds like it's the one his biological mother gave to him, in that one
Yeah.
moment. And I'm like, was it the flame root? Or maybe not. I
I had
wanna
the
know
same
what,
thought.
that's another question that I have, is what is the flower that she smells like? Like, that's also what I wanna know.
Yes. I had a similar thought because the only flower we are, like, really obsessing over in the book so far, and obsessing in, like, a good way, is the flame root flower.
Which we
And
didn't
so
even
I
know
was
was
like,
a flower until
"It's true. We
the
didn't."
end. We also still need to know who Biodad is, especially since he's still alive. I still feel like
It's
Diem
true.
is not really descended, like, in the same way, like, it's not kindred. I'm
Yeah.
like, her eye color, her powers, like, they're different. Like, there's something different. So, I'm
Mhm.
really, and the fact that, like, her orb had to take a longer time to, I don't know. It sounds like the orb is kind of like an AI machine that just goes through, like, everyone's brains to see, because it can only answer a question if somebody alive knows the answer. So it had to, like,
Oh,
it took it a
right.
really, so
Right.
Dad's clearly, like, in hiding of some sort. I don't know if it's plain sight hiding or
Mhm.
what, but I'm wondering if he's like the old mortal gods, this Everflame type of thing. So yeah, but who is Bio Dad? I don't know. And what book are we gonna find out? Because we're gonna find out, but
Well, and I guess that also ties into this whole, to go back to Biodad too, it's like the daughter of the forgotten, right? Like, it's clearly tied to that, and then I can't remember which one said it in the coronation, like, as they were all, like, walking, it was, like, the older man who was, like, taking his time, and she was, like, trying to help, and he was, like, swatting her away,
yeah,
but then she ends up getting a chance to help him, and then he's, like, daughter of the forgotten, and she's like, why did you say that?" Like, I only have heard that from my, like, godhood or what have you. So she's like, "Who are you and why do you know these things?" So
yeah,
it's clearly tied to that, and we're gonna figure out who that is or what that means, I guess.
yeah, Daughter of the Forgotten. Um, Montios. Montios King. Yep, Montios.
Excellent. Thank you
So,
for looking that up.
which, what is Montios's thing? What is their
I'm like, "What does my shirt
history?
say?" Thank you
Uh,
again, Sparrow and
well,
Wild for the design of the shirt.
yes. Which
Oh, it's
I
like the
also have to say,
mascot.
I just ordered 2 new ones, 2 new Sparrow Everflame shirts. Okay. So Montios is the realm of stone and ice. Violet stone
Mm,
to match their gaze. Beware their ice at end of days. So
ooh,
also he's old, so maybe end of days is coming into play. But
it's now.
yeah, okay. I thought
Maybe now.
maybe that might give us a hint as to, like, he knows
Yeah.
things and, like, he can, but
Mm,
maybe
mhm.
not. Okay. Where the heck is Henry at the end of this? Like, I felt so bad for DM. Like, he knew what was coming up. There was no question about when challenging day was. Like, and
Yeah.
everyone, probably besides Luther, until everyone decided to challenge her, thought she was going to die. And Henry just left. And she just obviously felt so upset and kind of betrayed by
Yeah.
that. I love how she, is still like, he's my friend. Like, that's never gonna change. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't marry him if that's, if this is how this is going. But like, where is he? He's clearly not on the island because, or at least we don't think he's on the island
Yeah.
because I don't know, maybe he was in the boat with Vance hiding to get Vance to the island to help morally
Mm.
with this. And
Mhm,
maybe like
mhm.
we just didn't see him. But like, where is he? Like Henry still could have, I
Yeah,
don't know. Like, cause he disappeared a couple of days before. So I really want to know where
right.
Henry is and what the heck Henry is doing. Explain yourself,
Yes,
Henry.
sir. Yeah. Explain yourself. I also, like, now in this moment, want to give Henry the benefit of the doubt that he didn't want to leave. There was something about him being torn, of course,
Yeah.
and that it was, like, out of his, like, hands, like, he had to go in this time, and he was just trusting that GM was gonna, like, survive. And he was like, "I believe in her. I know she's gonna survive." Like, that we're gonna get some sort of, like, chapter, I'm sure, in Heat where it comes up and he's gonna have a moment of, like, explaining that will be reinforced, is my thought.
I am giving Henry very much the benefit of the doubt, but I need information. So much information. Part of me is like, ooh, maybe Henry is trying to fight back against Vance, and that's why he had to do this in Diem's best interest. Because like I know, like
Mm,
that moment after the funeral when he does show up, I mean, late, unfortunately, but like there is that moment of hesitation and that flicker of doubt towards Vance and the Guardians that we we see.
mhm.
And so I'm wondering if maybe he just kept thinking on it and he was like, okay, I have to do this to make sure that she's okay in the end. That's my kind of questions. I mean, the other question that I had really kind of going throughout the book was like, did Luther do this half mate thing? And then last night reading the additional chapters, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not buying that anymore. Okay, never mind. Like that answered that question
Ruled
for me.
out.
But yeah, so many questions, so many burning questions that I just
It's
have. And I'm
true.
like, cannot wait to dive in. And oh my gosh, it's so big. And also, we have different
Oh, yes.
versions now, and our page numbers are going to be different
We
because
do.
Stacy got,
We do have different
yeah,
versions.
Stacy, you got the traditional, and you just got it the other day because
I did.
I know it comes out on the 11th.
This
Yeah.
I know, I
And
got it early somehow. My bookstore was like, "Hey, it's here." And I was like, "Great,
well,
let me go get it."
it seems like that's happening quite a bit. I'm seeing a lot of people kind of like post
Mhm.
about that, but I didn't know when we decided to do this. Like, I just knew that the indie one was going away and we didn't have a traditional publishing release date. So I was like, okay, gotta buy
Right.
it. So, but either way, it's still massive. This is slightly bigger than my hardcover of Glow, and this is paperback. So, and it doesn't even have
Yeah.
the
This
bonus
one
chapter in it.
The funny story about when I picked this up is I went into my local bookstore, East City Bookshop, shout out, they're incredible, and I had pre-ordered it, and I had walked in, and the associate at the register was like, "How can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh, I had pre-ordered a book, it's in." And so they went to get it, and I had turned around to look at the, like, cards and other, like, knickknacks that they had for sale, and I was browsing, and then I turned back around and this was just like sitting on the counter. And I was like, "What?" and, and they were like, "Yeah, this one's a big one." And I was like, "Look at it. She's thick. And we're going into some scenes. We're gonna need some time to read this one."
I wonder how long Bird's gonna be when that comes out. I mean, that's probably, I'm guessing, like, because every book has seemed to be like an additional like 200 pages. So like
Yeah.
Spark 400, Glow 600. Now this is around 800. So I'm like, are we gonna be 1,000 pages? Are we gonna be like Aka War and Kingdom of Ash, like thick? Like, I mean, not that I am going to complain because I want more time with my wonderful
We'll
characters
love everything. We'll love
universe, but
everything.
I'm like, oh my God, how big is that book gonna be? It's gonna be so big. Well, absolutely loved Glow. Like, I know you did too. Like,
Oh,
oh,
I love
yes.
it though.
So, cannot wait to pick up heat and start that, especially now that you have heat, so we can actually start it. We don't kind of have to wait because we are recording this a couple of days prior to the official traditional publication
True.
release of Heat. So, very exciting for this. So, thank you all so much for joining us on another Buddy Read Adventures adventure. We are so excited and happy to have you following along and reading this series with us, or at least following along with our reactions of this series. So if you're enjoying this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. And next episode will obviously be on Heat of the Everflame.